Hey, what is up guys? Kalem or KalemsFishTanks, and in today's video we have something a little bit different than usual. Like the title says, today we're going to be setting up a terrarium for some carnivorous plants. This is something a little bit different than I usually do on here, and the story starts about 2 weeks ago when I was at the Canadian Aquatic Design Show. This was a super fun event hosted by ADA and Aquascape Room Canada, where they had a really nice venue, a bunch of aquascaping related things, and a beautiful display of a bunch of different terrariums and aquariums. And one that really caught my eyes was this little carnivorous plant bog. I asked a lot of questions and I got a little bit impulsive and bought every single carnivorous plant they had available for sale at this event. So today I'm going to be setting up a terrarium for them. I've went and done a ton of research on these things over the last couple of weeks, and I think I'll be able to make a beautiful home for these guys. And I want to take you guys along for the journey because I think it'll be a super fun project. Without further ado, let's get started on making this terrarium. Carnivorous plants come from swampy, bog-like areas of the world. While they do look very tropical and exotic, like they came from a rainforest, most actually don't love high humidity, but would prefer moist soil and bog-like conditions. To create somewhere for the water to go and not build up too high and soak the roots, causing them to rot, I'm making what's known as a false bottom. In doing my research, I stumbled across one content creator called Jonathan Q. Swanson on Instagram. He makes many gorgeous terrariums, super creative, and one thing that's kind of his signature are these false bottoms generated by layering different colors of sand, which I'm copying in this tank because I think it looks really good. Make sure to go check him out after this video because he has lots of super useful content, especially if you want to make more terrariums and that's more your style than fish tanks. This sand is ADA or Aqua Design Amano, at least the beige stuff, and if you know anything about this company, you'd know it's not cheap stuff. And to cut down on the cost of this setup, and to use materials I already had, I've decided to fill the center with pea gravel. This doesn't look as good, I find, as the sand, but it will actually do a better job draining, and it will be hidden away because I'm going to build the sand up right to the top, so you won't be able to see any of this gravel, and I can cut down on how much I'm using. Now let's make our substrate mix. These plants typically grow in very nutrient-poor environments. This is why they have evolved to be carnivorous. They get their nutrients by soaking up what they catch with digestive enzymes through their leaves. Having nutrients in the soil is actually a bad thing for these plants and can kill them. For the substrate mix, I'm using 2 parts peat sphagnum moss, which is a very low nutrient soil, 1 part sand, which will help prevent the soil from compacting and allow for drainage, and 1 part sphagnum moss to give the plants a little bit more to hold on to. This substrate mix will have no nutrients and hold moisture well, while allowing for good drainage. Like I mentioned before, carnivorous plants are picky about nutrients. For this reason, to be successful, you shouldn't add any to the environment. One problem many people have is they add nutrients in their water. Your tap water can have many different things present that can kill your plants, so many carnivorous plant keepers choose to use RO water, distilled, or rainwater to avoid adding these extra nutrients to this tank, and in my case, I'm using RO water, which should have nothing in it. Now I'm doing all this talk about how nutrients are bad, then I'm adding Cereus stone. If you're a fish keeper, you likely know a little bit about this stone, and it has calcium veins that can leach into the soil. This is typical where you're adding CO2 in the fish tanks, which acidifies the condition, and it may be a problem I run into later on with this terrarium, but let's hope this doesn't happen, and hope because it's a slightly different environment, these won't leach into the soil and cause my carnivorous plants to die, but it may happen. I want to build up a bit more height, so I'm adding more peat moss without the other additives, and I'm noticing it's really hard to get this stuff wet. The water kind of pools on the top and it doesn't like soaking it up, and I think that's why I added sphagnum to this mix. The first plant going in, my typical audience probably knows about, which is Utricularia graminefolia. I have 2 pots of this, and it's a carpeting plant that can grow in aquariums as well, which I'm super excited to see how it turns out. Next are the ones I don't know much about. Drosera adelae, a species of sundew. This one is apparently pretty easy to grow, but we'll see. What's interesting for these is the media is black, I guess because it's different and they don't need any nutrients. Then we have Drosera capensis, which is an even smaller version of sundew. Now we're going to clean up these plants. I want to remove as much of the gel as possible because it's packed with nutrients. I'm just ripping these up with my hands where I feel the plants are naturally coming apart and falling into clumps. Now I'm just going to fill the whole carpet with Utricularia graminefolia. There aren't going to be many different species in this tank, but it's going to be a good test. I'll see how things do before I go spend way too much money on a bunch of carnivorous plants that may just die. So we'll see how things go. Here is the smaller of the two capensis, and here is the Adelaide. Now this is the last look before I go move it upstairs. This tank is a lot heavier than it looks, and the stand is pretty tall, but I think it fits here really well, and I like how my little bonsai kind of works together with the rest of the scape, and I'm happy to have this shelf full again. Now the last thing is going to be covering it up with saran wrap. All these plants came from 100% humidity when they're grown in tissue culture, and I need to give them time to adapt to this condition of the atmosphere, and I don't want to shock them and kill them. So I'm going to keep them nice and humid for a couple weeks, allow them to get rooted and settle into their environment. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more updates of this tank and all my others. I've got some more terrariums coming up soon, so if that's something you're interested in, make sure to follow along. But anyways guys, this was KalemsFishTanks. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.